Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Well, happy Friday. This is the Peter Dislike Show, and I know I give a lot of advice on this video. I was just talking about how to take advantage of our next potential recession slash financial crisis slash maybe another public health kind of crisis slash whatever, right? Whatever it is, there are two strategies that I recommend that we use. Just given, I've lived through a few of these, right? I was 14 years old when 9/11 happened. We had the global financial crisis, COVID-19, and a few other minor ones in between those, right? And so I've put together a lot of wisdom. When the next one comes around, I'll probably add even more to that wisdom. But I hope we can get ahead of that curve. I talked about some advice for how to deal with various prejudices, but I need some advice on this video. So it's my turn to have an open letter question for my viewers. Anybody who has any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to leave a dislike. You can kind of treat this episode as unsolved mysteries, right? Unsolved mysteries of what to do in my life. Okay, so I'm recording this on September 27, 2024. So if you're a Green Day fan, it's almost time to wake up. But I took a break from making metal casting art. You guys may have noticed that. And there are two reasons why I took that break. First of all, I just have a lot to sell anyway to unload and free up some space. And number two, I kind of want to reset my mental view on metal casting art. And this is not the first time I have attempted to do this. This is the second longest break I've taken away from metal casting. But unfortunately, I never seem to go long enough to reset that mental connection. And I wonder how long is that period, right? I've kind of experimented. The first couple of times I took a break, they were less than a week, and I quickly realized that wasn't long enough. My longest time away from it was a little bit over 2 months, actually, in large part because I was living in a housing situation that didn't allow for it. But I also wanted to reset the mental thoughts of it. And unfortunately, even that wasn't long enough. This time it's been a month. And so I'm a little bit hesitant on how long this break needs to be in order to completely reset my mental thoughts on it. And when I start to make it seem like the very first time I ever did metal casting, all the way back in August of 2022, right? How long does that break need to be? I know it's longer than 2 months because I attempted it at that time. I know it's probably shorter than a year because there was a time in my life when I was ill for almost a year, and I was anxious to get back to various activities that I couldn't do. And so somewhere in between 2 months and a year lies that perfect amount. And I'm not sure how long it is. Feel free to leave a comment. I'm shooting for 138.376 days because that number has some significance, especially in relation to the metal that I'm working with and in relation to other things that I like. Okay. The second unsolved mystery I have is related to prejudices again. And I talk about all the prejudices that come with single bias. And here's one that I want you guys to think about. I was looking at a video game conference in Portland, Oregon, and I'd really like to go to it. And I Google searched how long it would take to drive there. And the drive time was about 21 hours, if I remember correctly. And I thought, God, this is such a bummer that I don't have a partner in life, right? If there are two of us driving, that would be a one-day drive, right? We could leave Friday after work, 4 p.m., and get there by Saturday at 4 p.m., right? And unfortunately, it's a very different story when you live alone and you're driving alone. And it just goes to show that, I mean, this is not anybody's fault, obviously, right? But it just goes to show that singles have their own barriers in life, right? It's not just that people who have families have barriers. Why doesn't society recognize that singles have their own plight, right? I cannot understand that, right? So if somebody has a spouse and they need to take certain days off to coordinate vacation with their son, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. But singles have their own vacation barriers too, right? And how do I make it more recognized, right? I'm thinking about every year we ought to have a singles recognition day or something like that, right? I hope we could turn October 24 into singles recognition day because there's a very famous single individual who, well, maybe another possibility is right now here in the United States, there's another very famous, well, celebrity who is famously single. It looks like she may break up out of this current relationship as well and write a huge album out of it. Right? We could turn her birthday into singles award, especially if she after she breaks up and writes that song. I can't wait. I really get. There's been AI generated lyrics to that as well. And okay, feel free to leave comments, suggestions, and all that. And feel free to leave a comment on how I can make the trip to Portland. Obviously, I could fly there, but I don't want to do that. I like having a car during my trip, just in case I need it. Right. Um, every time I've gone somewhere and my car isn't there, I feel a whole lot less free. Right. If I'm at the conference and I have a headache, I can't just lay down somewhere, right? If I don't have my car around, right? That car is a huge lifeline for situations like that, right? And so I guess the other possibility is that it's a video game competition. I wonder if you could compete remotely, right? That's a little bit less than ideal. I also want to network with people there, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.